Hello there. Before we get started today, I wanted to let you know that we're having a contest and giving 3 people the opportunity to win 2 free coaching sessions each. All you have to do to enter is to go on iTunes, give us a 5-star review, take a picture or a screen capture, and send it to info@theoptimumhuman.com. Then you'll be entered to win not just 1, but 2 coaching sessions with both Brian and myself. Please note we will be picking winners on July 15th, 2016, so do it today if you want a chance to win some free coaching.
On this episode of the Optimum Human podcast, we speak with Kate Martin. She's a fitness business mentor and personal trainer. We explore her journey from working in IT to becoming one of the top fitness professionals in Australia. We discuss postnatal fat loss, mindset, bodybuilding, and the importance of having a coach to guide you to your goals. Let's get into the show.
Welcome to the Optimum Human podcast, the show that interviews the world's top experts in fitness, nutrition, mindset, and beyond. Let's get into the show.
All right. Hey, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Optimum Human podcast. Today, we're talking to Kate Martin. So, Kate, how are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on here, guys.
Awesome. Glad to have you. So, real quick, what exactly is it that you do?
So my trade is, like you guys, I'm a personal trainer. I've gone really deep into the anatomy and physiology of fixing people and learnt and did a lot of CHEK courses, so Paul CHEK courses along that line of thinking. And what do I do now? My business is split in half. So I run a fat loss business or health coaching business where I have a physical business and a contractor in there performing the majority of the sessions, and I have online programs as well. And then the other part of my business is that I coach personal trainers to be able to do the same, because this is my 17th year in the industry. I love it.
Awesome. Now,
so each day is different.
Having said that, what got you into the business? What is, you said you've been in this business for a lot of years. What's your story?
Well, I did IT when I left school, and I knew that I didn't want to be in an office. I absolutely hated it, and my boss was nice enough for me to let me go part-time. And then I started doing personal training part-time. I'd also actually hurt my back pretty bad when I was a teenager, and nobody could fix it. And I'd heard about Pilates then, but at that stage you had to go over to England or New York to learn, and it was a $10,000 course. And you had to be a physiotherapist or have been a personal trainer for 5 years prior to applying. And I thought, well, I'm not going to do physio because you need a score of 98, so I'll become a personal trainer instead. So I did that, and then started doing that part-time, and then started looking into becoming a CHEK practitioner, and found many other things along the way, and realized, wow, I love this. Every day was so much more fulfilling because I was actually helping people get what they wanted, rather than talking to a computer. And I'm much more a talker than a programmer. You can ask my old boss. There's many times I lost a few of the programs in the IT industry, but we're still friends. So that's what got me into it. And then I've just constantly loved learning about the new things. And it's funny, you realize the more you learn, the more you realize, oh my God, I really just don't know. I don't know anything. So then it powers you on to learn more. So you never really feel like you know enough. But helping people, it's just the most rewarding day that you could possibly have, in my belief.
Absolutely. Now, you said you hurt your back when you were a kid. What happened?
Well, going from the CHEK assessments, etc., I didn't crawl when I was a baby. So, and I'm one of those people that, you know how physios can categorize people into either floppy or stiff. And if you're listening to this, you'll know that you can either touch your toes, bend over and touch your toes easily, or you probably can't. So sometimes that's a good representation of ligament flexibility. I just happen to be a flexible person. And then when I was younger, my parents put me into dancing. So I've been a dancer since I was 3. So I've been hypermobile and a ballet dancer. So everything was really double jointed. And then I started doing a lot of activity when I was a teenager and running. I can't remember this. Oh, that's right. I was actually in the gym. I was doing an exercise and I felt a tear up my thoracic spine, and I thought, oh, that's uncomfortable, but I'll just keep going. I'll finish this set of 15 reps. Kept going. I was doing laying hamstring curl actually. So hence after that for a while I hated machines, but I felt it tear up the other side, and I think it might have been multifidus. It was something really close to the spine anyway. It adjusted my back for me, but it just took a really long time and seeing a lot of practitioners for me to get that addressed, and then realizing, oh, it's just probably due to lack of stability in my upper body. So I've built that as well, and then that became my target market because it's purely what I was interested in. And I still love rehabilitative clients now because it really gets me thinking versus I just want to lose weight.
Absolutely. That's my thing as well. I've had several injuries over the years and had to rehabilitate myself, so I'm right there with you.
It's often why we get into whatever we're interested in learning, isn't it? Because I've noticed with clients that are psychologists, for example, it's probably because they've seen a lot of psychologists when they were younger.
Yeah, me too.
Physios, same. Does that explain?
Yeah,
what
absolutely.
you wanted to know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So having said all that, between rehabilitating yourself and then now, what have been some different things you've done for yourself to help stiffen yourself back up and get that multifidus working and all that?
Well, I've always had a coach. I started with, oh my goodness, I can't remember his name. I started with a guy called Gary in Sydney, actually, because I've come from Sydney, and he was awesome. And then I just found, oh my God, I'm just learning so much. I ended up getting a lot of massages. I ended up buying a massage clinic and becoming a massage therapist, and then opening another one. So it's always been a bit of a cross between really, really getting into the technical side of things and then really, really trying to turn that into a business and grow it. As far as me and my body and what I've done is I've made sure I've always tried to incorporate some kind of functional workout, like opposite arm leg, and using the nervous system a lot. I've gravitated towards obviously doing functional exercises and everything to do with the ball because I was good at it, because of the way my nervous system was tuned when I was younger, coming from a dancing background, and people who have done gymnastics or martial arts, obviously, as you guys know, feel the same way, because we're more cat inclined, as Checky says, versus the people that probably need to be doing that who aren't good at it. Then I suppose my market or my niche and my interest changed, because fast forward 15 years later, I had a baby, and then found it incredibly hard to lose the weight post-baby, even though I'd cut out sugar and I was doing lots of workouts, to the point where I thought, oh, wow, I'm going to have to just run a marathon. I just can't shift this weight. And I was so tired. I have never been that tired in my life, because she didn't sleep, the poor little thing. Until she was about 4, she didn't sleep through. Wow. So, what, everyone handles that totally differently. Clearly, I feel soft, I feel like a bit of a wuss, we say in Australia.
Yeah, me too. I've had about...
Everyone knows Brian's a wuss.
Yeah, it's true. I've had about 2 months out of my daughter's 4.5 months, and I'm not a pleasant person to be around on lack of sleep.
Is she only 4.5 months old?
Yeah, yep.
Wow. Yeah. So if I could go back, I would throw all of the books out that I read, and I would co-sleep, and I would do whatever I needed to do. I would breastfeed her while she's in bed and do anything that I needed to do just to get sleep, and that would be fine. Anyway, that's how the journey was. I was really tired, so I was eating lots of sugar. So I didn't realize I was quite nutrient deficient. I did get diagnosed with everything, but I'm one of those people that I just won't take the answer that I don't like. So I just kept going and going and going and looking for things. And I ended up finding, how's this, a CHEK practitioner, found the Poliquin stuff. So I went and saw a practitioner who was actually my girlfriend's husband, and it was that coupled with actually strength training like a bodybuilder for a change instead of doing full body workouts that actually got me to lose, I think, probably close to 20% body fat in 12 weeks.
Wow.
I was really lean and I felt amazing and I wasn't tired, and it was all to do with fixed and digestive enzymes, high dosing on some certain things that I was lacking in, and training like a bodybuilder, which really, really did my head in. As you guys know, you're like full of, you know, functional exercises. Let's move everything all together. You're not allowed to get on machines. Oh my God, I had made bodybuilding so wrong up until that point. And then I'd made friends with an old guy in the gym, and we started training together. And he was an old competing bodybuilder, but he's in his 60s now. So just trained like a bodybuilder, and I would say, oh, no, but I can't do this because what about this and this and this and this and this? And he would just look at me and say, perhaps you should ask for the money back from the man that taught you. You know, every single... What had happened was actually, to be honest, if I peel the layers back, I did a self-development course. And, you know, if you hear the right thing at the right time and you're open to it, I was open to this. It was actually the Landmark Forum. And I've loves personal development. I've been reading those books since I was probably 14 and just, you know, on the search. This hit at the right time. I realized that I needed to make the changes and I was making it everybody else's fault. And it wasn't. It was my own. So, and I must have been an absolute pain in the ass to be around. And
I'm laughing because I know that feeling all too well.
I swear, when I went to do the course, they said, what are you doing this for? Are you, what's your main motivating factor? And I said, well, my friend brought me here because I wanted to be a better public speaker, and her and I used to teach at a personal training school together, and she's a great speaker. So, however, I'm really not sure. Maybe I should leave my partner, or maybe I should leave my child. I'm not cut out for this thing. I'm finding this whole thing really hard, or maybe I should just leave my job. I don't know. But see how it's everyone else's fault. Anyway, through the series of courses that I did with them, I realized I've got to take responsibility for this myself, which was awesome. And then I knew I couldn't give up on, the next search for the next thing to try and help me get healthy, because running certainly wasn't working. I mean, you guys know what it's like if you've seen a breastfeeding woman. Our breasts are really, really large, and obviously this is for the women in the audience. I had like 3 bras on, so I cracked a rib on one of my runs.
Wow.
And it would make me so tired that I needed to have a sleep afterwards, which you can't always do if you've got a baby. That's what I felt like I was just sleeping everywhere, on the floor, in the lounge, everywhere. So I'm crossing over to bodybuilding and actually just doing an exercise, even if it was my biceps, for 40 seconds at massive intensity, and then resting for 1, 2, 3 minutes, and then doing it again and resting and doing it again and resting. That kind of training obviously let my adrenal glands relax. So I had a different response, and I turned into a little ball of muscle. And I'd actually probably never done that training before either. So it was, from a technical perspective, it was a different energy system. And it wasn't running and it wasn't full body. So that has given me a massive insight into now my target as far as fat loss and health is postnatal mums. And it has made me realize the amount of body shaming that goes on, because I was keeping myself fat. And I mean, I'm not sure what it is in pounds, but I was way over 100 kilos.
I believe that's 220
over 220,
pounds.
220 pounds, yeah, cool. And I was almost half of that before I had the child.
Yeah, you're definitely on a very lean frame.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm bigger now than what I was before I had it, but I don't care. I don't weigh myself. I don't get my clients to weigh themselves. I get them to realize they've got to stop talking about the fat story that they are before they're able to change it. Because I remember, waking up in the middle of the night while Stella was little, and I was grabbing my fat and shaking it and talking to myself about how fat I was, and I should know better because I'm a trainer and I'm at the top of my game and I charge lots of money and I should know. Great word to get rid of, that should one. Yeah, so that's the story in a nutshell.
Wow.
big nutshell.
It's impressive. I think the biggest thing I got from that was certainly the mindset aspect, but also we tend to get stuck in our way is the best way or the only way, and every different modality, every different tool absolutely has an application. It's just using it at the right time for the right person in the right dose.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
And it can be difficult to as practitioners to diverge from what we think is best. So
I think something that sorry, Claude.
No problem. Please.
I was going to say, I think we're fooling ourselves as coaches if we think that our clients are only ever going to get information from us. Especially with the way the internet is these days, they'll come and go and they'll do different forms. They'll follow different people on Instagram. They'll try different cleanses. They'll try different diets. So I suppose I try to say to mine, look, I want to be your Google. If you want to reference anything, just ask me and I will tell you what I think. And I will often refer them out to do other things and other modalities. I don't think that we can pretend that we can be the one-stop shop. You will have clients that'll be with you forever and ever and a day. But even then, it helps if we learn different modalities to keep things interesting for them and stimulating for their bodies and minds as well. But every individual's different. You're right. Yes.
Yeah, it's true. Now, I just wanted to get back to, you said you changed a bunch of things with your diet and digestive system. Now, is that stuff you still recommend to clients today, or what did that protocol look like?
The protocol, and I'm not suggesting, obviously, that people do this because, as we know, we're legally not supposed to do that. So what made a really big difference to me that I had never found before, and I think they've actually banned it now from you being able to buy it. They don't recommend it because they've had so many court cases over it. That's how aggressive it is the hydrochloric acid supplement for your stomach acid. So after the body's gone through, obviously, any kind of transition of stress, and if you're not digesting your food from point one, your stomach, with your own digestive juices, then there's no point taking any fancy supplements at all because not much is going to work. You don't even digest your food. So the first thing that back, I can't remember what year it was, it's probably a couple of years ago now, 5 or 6 years ago now, when I did the course with my practitioner, was you go through some tests to see how much hydrochloric acid you've got in your stomach. And yes, I did get registered as a Poliquin practitioner, and I did follow this protocol as well. However, we don't use it anymore.
Is that the one where you up the dose until you feel a burning sensation and then taper down?
That is the one. Yep. So it's a hydrochloric acid supplement, and you take it until you feel the burning sensation, which means that you've actually already got enough, so you don't need to take any more than that. And then based on where you get to in how much of this supplement that you can take, then that determines your prescription for what you have, or your suggestion of what you have from your coach. But that made that, coupled with the weight training, because I hadn't done any, I had never done a 5-day split with my body. Do you know what I mean? If anyone's listening, it means, one day you'll do legs, you'll just train your legs. So you might do 6, 10, 8 exercises with your legs with a couple of sets on each exercise. Maybe you'll even just do the front of your legs. And then you'll just do a back workout. And the next day you'll do a bicep workout. Next day you do a chest workout. My God, I used to make fun of those guys. But now, yes, everything fits.
It seems like that's kind of like what your body needed and kind of what it responded to.
Yes, although it really hurt my head. It really hurt. It so went against everything technical that I know.
Ego is a fragile thing.
All the supplements. Yeah.
It sure is.
It? And mine's a big one. So I paid a lot of money for mine.
Yeah.
It was hurt. I'm like, calories don't count, and this is this, and this is this. What?
Yeah.
Leaner from bicep curls. So now I want to save the women that are doing all these high intensity circuits and having it really not work for them. But they bash themselves up because they think, well, I'm just lazy, or, well, I'm just never going to be lean again. Well, I'm just too tired. Well, I need to get up at 5 a.m. and train. There's nothing wrong with that, totally, as long as you don't need to sleep during the day. So I have a rule that you are not to need to sleep after your exercise. If you are, obviously it's too adrenally fatiguing, and there's still things that you can do, like, make sure you eat in that window within an hour, ideally after training. But everyone's different. So, yeah, you're right. It just goes on the individual needs.
Yeah, I find a lot of people that think they know what they're doing. They're burning the candle from both ends. And what happens is their cortisol, their stress hormones, they just shoot through the roof, and that doesn't help them. So sometimes pushing harder and pushing more does not necessarily mean you're going to get better results.
No, more is not always better.
Yep.
Yeah, and that hurts your head to realize that less is better, and that sometimes you'll have a workout and you won't sweat.
Yep,
So
and that's completely fine. But people need to kind of start to realize that, it's not, just like you said, it's not just like running a marathon. That won't necessarily get you fit. That might just break you down more. So there's ways to do it. I think just for people listening, to find a good coach that knows what they're doing and that can customize to your lifestyle. That's one of the best things you can look for.
Yeah, to your lifestyle and goals, because everyone's goals are different.
Good point. I mean, I know some trainers, they train their clients like bodybuilders or powerlifters, and meanwhile these people, may not want that.
Now I'm laughing about. Oh, you there?
Yep, we're here.
Oh, no, I'm laughing about the powerlifter thing. Yeah, because that seems to be the new thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, or the whole like CrossFit thing, and there's some guy, he's 45, he's overweight, he's like, oh, I heard CrossFit's a good way to get fit. They're like, okay, no problem, you're gonna do some Olympic lifting and some burpees, and then he comes out of there drained and his ass is kicked, and it works for some people, but for a lot of people, especially in that demographic, they got to be careful.
Absolutely. You got to, as you said earlier, Kate, you got to crawl before you can walk.
Literally.
Absolutely.
But most people did crawl when they were little, I think. So
right,
maybe they don't have to regress. Maybe they don't have to regress back to that. I guess it's the getting stuck on one modality thing. So that was what works for me. So I just thought, I literally did treat that like it was the Bible, and that it was the only thing. But I've realized it's not the only thing, and it does definitely come down to sometimes that person's constitution. So, because everyone is at different levels of toughness, either genetically or physiologically and emotionally, everyone's at different levels. They handle stress differently.
Oh hell yeah! I'm not going to become a Navy SEAL. Yeah. So just to touch on diet a little bit. Mm-hmm. How does your diet look like right now, and is there a big change from when you were doing the bodybuilding thing?
Look, when I said bodybuilding thing, I meant I trained like a bodybuilder with a bodybuilder. Mm-hmm. I didn't compete in any competitions. I've never gone that far. I got to 11% body fat. That was really lean.
That is really lean.
I still had a women's menstrual cycle and stuff, and I'm not that lean at the moment. I still, and what I do think is the Bible for food is paleo. I do think that saturated fats are totally essential. And, minerals and things from salt. I do like the 80-20 rule. Yeah, as most of us do, which just, to be honest, really means nothing out of a packet. I do think that, and I'm a metabolic typing practitioner, that is my belief about how people handle things, and everybody handles things differently, and we get to learn how our body responds and how our body digests things based on how you feel after that particular meal, and then look at the ratio of carbs and fats and proteins. And I have, like, that is, I know that to be true beyond the shadow of a doubt. There's the metabolic typing stuff, but I do think that digestive systems need to be almost fixed if they're not working properly. And then clearly hormones are produced properly. And I've always been an advocate of, get 10 doctors' opinions if you're going to get any at all, and go with the one that you like, because I don't think you need to be on most of the medication that you're on if things are working properly. Because I was diagnosed with thyroid issues. I've had friends that have been diagnosed with, many different autoimmune diseases, and they're not. They don't have them now. They're fine. Yeah. Yes, totally. Paleo have talked about and eaten organic for, I can't tell you how long. That's definitely at the core of my being. I don't think our food's meant to be sprayed.
Not to mention the nutrient density is completely out of whack nowadays.
Yes, and genetic modification, and I could
plastic.
Seriously
the topsoil running out. There's just a long list of issues we have going on.
Bees going extinct. Just the small stuff, right?
Yeah, but I wanted to touch on it and agree with your point that the trying to attack one system at a time just it really doesn't work very well. Like, we need to work on our digestion, and then that will help bring the hormones in line, and trying to attack one system without affecting the others is just legitimately impossible, and really looking at bringing the person back into ninth grade biology term homeostasis, and really address all of those issues at the same time.
That's a really good point. That I'm constantly explaining homeostasis to people, in that your body will return to full health. Just sometimes it needs a little bit of a kick in the butt in this direction, and it'll propel itself. And I think we're so taught these days to not trust ourselves, and not trust, that we know things on the inside, and that also our body knows, and our body does know how to heal itself. It's an incredible organism, and it doesn't need that much help. And that, I love the Paul CHEK book, How to Eat, Move and Be Healthy. That really, pardon the pun if anyone's, really religious, that is my Bible as well. I love giving it to clients. I give it to the trainers that I have anything to do with as well, because his training does look at.
Well, Kate, I'm sorry you cut out there. Your training looks...
to these guys, and you're near these guys, you should definitely hire them. So they're training, the Paul CHEK training, like what you guys are trained in, and myself, it does incorporate every system in the body and looks at how they interact with everything. So I was just highly recommending the book. And if anyone does have access to you guys, then they should definitely
we'll definitely
look you up and use CHEK coaches.
Put a link in the show notes and link to How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy, because it is a Bible for sure.
It's a 360 approach. That's what I love.
Absolutely. Leave no stone unturned.
Yep. It's like a personal trainer on pages. It's pretty fantastic.
It really is. So, Kate, now, I know part of your business is weight loss, and you have both a brick and mortar as well as online. What does your online program system business look like?
It depends on, I suppose, who I'm talking to, for example. So I have small packages that go out in email. Like I've just finished one. I did a physical, what's called a 7-day retreat, where I took some women and I trained them every day physically for 7 days, but we did mindset work, we did meditation. I took them to a farm. We did consultations with naturopaths and stuff. It was kind of like an adventure for 7 days. So the notes from that I took, I've turned that, for example, into a package called the 7-day at-home retreat. And I've just had a little ebook made. So I've just put some people onto that email. That will sell for probably $27, but that's an online at-home program, mainly mindset. I've got a 28-day program, which is like a cleanse, which has a lot of heavy exercise in it as well. I have a 12-week program that runs by itself as well. And then I have the upgraded version of the 12-week program where people can be consulted with me online to take them through their health and well-being and everything. Same thing, no stone left unturned, but for 12 weeks with actually 12 months worth of support. That's a basic overview, but pretty much every time I get an idea, it turns into a online something. So every time I've done a seminar, that'll turn into the handouts from the seminar will turn into a little ebook or something.
Okay, very cool. Now,
so yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
I was just going to ask, so let's come up with an imaginary person. Let's say a 32-year-old woman who is right on the border of overweight and obese. Which product and kind of, can you go a little more in depth into what they would get? Which product is going to be best for her?
Is that your Brian?
Yeah.
It depends on, one, where they are location-wise, because if I could see them physically, then that would be great. But if I can't, then it doesn't matter. I'll find them a trainer in their area. So, for example, one of the ladies I coach is in America. And what I did with her, for example, was we just did 4 Skype sessions. And I start with that CHEK nutrition questionnaire, mm-hmm. and then it goes from there. And then I give them some mindset homework as well, based on what they can implement and what their goals are. So a lot of it's talking to them and listening to their language about how they feel currently about things versus where they want to be.
Okay.
And just like any of our clients. So I've found that that's the missing link. If we don't get the mindset stuff, they will self-sabotage. They don't know their own why. It doesn't matter what amazing information we give them if they don't have their why, and if they don't have some kind of tools to master the self-talk, because the self-talk's critical. Actually, I've got a book coming out really soon that goes through all of these activities. So it's like me coaching them. It's my 12-week program on steroids, but it's how to step yourself through things step by step.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So, Kate, I've got a question regarding clients and regarding working with people. What's been the most fulfilling experience you've had working with a client?
Oh, there's so many. Just like yourself, guys, it's a matter of, well, go to a weekend and pick that person from there. The one that comes to mind is I love it when people get out of pain and get off medication. And I have a client who was told that she would never be out of pain because she's got neuropathic pain from having a surgery on her spine and it going wrong, right? So she's got a lot of scar tissue in there. She now deadlifts nearly her body weight.
Wow.
Yeah, and she's down to the most minute version of pain medication, and she'll be off it in the next week. I was talking to her yesterday, actually. So she's coming off that totally in the next week. She's having some reactions to it, but she never thought she'd be able to go overseas. She's just blown away. She couldn't walk when we started. And you know what it's like with the CHEK stuff. I'm sure you've had a lot of people come in with those kind of situations where they can't walk when they start, and then it only takes a couple of things. Then all of a sudden the system's incredible. And it's really been one of those stories where they get to know that they can get themselves better. And I believe that we are the CEO of our own health, and that anybody else that somebody employs, so us as coaches or even doctors, surgeons, that everyone else is our advisor. At the end of the day, the buck stops with you. We can't outsource the problem or the blame or the situation to anybody and say that person's helping me, it's their fault. It's us. So that's what I like about her. She does her homework. She's my most rewarding one that I can think of to date.
That's awesome. No, that's good. She's still with you?
Yeah. Yep. I saw
Awesome.
her. I saw her yesterday. Yes. Had her for a couple of years. Yep.
That's fantastic. I mean, once you get somebody that far, it's hard for them to kind of want to go far away, because you obviously know what you're doing. So why not keep sticking with you and keep getting better and better?
Yeah. Do you know what? I don't mind if they use other people. I think because for me, variety is the spice of life. Like, I like changing things. I like working from different locations. I like moving. I like moving house. And so if she does choose to use someone else, then that's totally fine. And actually, I saw another girlfriend, in her functional studio setup yesterday. It was incredible. And I thought, man, Zoe would be perfect for this. So I want to even take her there. She'd be great doing sessions with her. Actually, someone else that's just come to mind was I helped a doctor get pregnant not long ago. And that was in my online program. So because I didn't do any physical sessions with her. She was probably, I don't know, about 500 kilometers away, trying to think of where this place is. And she'd been through IVF, so she was going to do IVF again, but just from changing her diet and her mindset and starting to train with weights so that she wasn't adrenally fatigued anymore. Yeah, she's had another baby, which is so exciting.
That's awesome to take someone in the health profession that is, quote, supposed to have all this knowledge and be able to help them do something that they weren't able to do with themselves. That's
do you know what? They're human. They totally are human.
Yeah, absolutely.
And unfortunately, they only spend, what is it? This is to quote information that's probably 10 years old, but 10 years ago, the medical degree only had 3 or 4 hours of exercise and 3 or 4 hours of nutrition study in it. So they definitely don't know everything. And when they take you on as their coach, I like them. Doctors are good. They usually do as they're told.
So Kate, I just want to kind of get your top 3 books that you just love, like things that if you had to go on a desert island with, not necessarily survival guides, but just something that you love and it just resonates with you. It could be health, fitness, even novels, nonfiction. Just your top 3 books.
Top 3 books. Well, I can very rarely get into fiction. I've probably read 5 of those books. Other books, I'm reading something all the time. I love Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And the second book, The Devil Within, that's awesome as well. That's on audio. Oh, do I have to stop at 3? So
you can keep going.
Yeah, please.
Love the Paul CHEK book, How to Eat, Move, and Be Healthy, from a body and a physical learning about your body. Another one that I've listened to recently, I've listened to it probably 20 times. It's awesome. It's called Being You, Changing the World by Dr. Dane Here. Are you there?
Yep, we're here.
Yep.
Yeah, by Dr. Dane Here. Hate, it's spelled DAIN, hate, EER. Now, he has come up with this system called Access Consciousness, so I'm in no way promoting that. I just really like it.
Is that the Access bars?
Yeah.
Okay,
yep.
I'm familiar with it then.
Yeah, have you read his book?
I have not, no. So I'll definitely have to check it out.
The book's great. It's great on audio too, because it just puts you through the patterns of releasing stuff. That's great. I love Esther Hicks as well, and The Power of Emotions. She's got a great book, The Power of Emotions. I've got like all of her audiobooks on my iPod. I'm listening to Zig Ziglar at the moment, How to Stay Motivated.
Oh, wow.
I like listening to the books. The one that I'm reading is called The Surrender Project. Yeah, it's about a CEO who just surrendered and surrendered and surrendered and surrendered. That's how he got to CEO of his own company, of several actually. It's really interesting.
Wow.
Definitely sounds interesting.
keep going.
We'll have to get like a whole list from you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, please do. I actually have a list that I give people actually in that 7-day email thing, because there's things that I want them to listen to and read. I'll send it to you guys.
Perfect. Definitely like to check that out. So what is something you see in most health and wellness practitioners that you just disagree with?
I guess maybe it comes from fear, but it's how I used to be, was in making other formats and things wrong. It's not that I disagree with it. I just think they're on their own journey, and hopefully they can see one day that that's it's an unpleasant way to kind of try and run your business by making everybody wrong. You don't need to. We can all work together. There is enough business for everybody. One of the other things that I laugh at a little bit is when people don't ask for help. But they want to, good on them for trying to figure it out by themselves, but I just think it speeds things up if you do ask for help. It doesn't matter who you ask for help, because I think if you ask enough times, you stumble across, the most amazing people. Like, I got to have lunch or breakfast a couple of months ago with a guy in Australia that started one of the biggest health clubs here that we've got. That was stepping way outside my comfort zone. I knew him through somebody else, so it wasn't hard to get his contact details. But when I got his contact details, the guy that gave them to me said, yeah, good luck with that, as in he won't contact you back. But he did, and he spent 3 hours with me. He gave me as much information as I needed about, the practical openings of a gym and all that stuff. So if you don't ask, you don't get. And I think we run around in our own heads not asking enough. That's what I think. But then I think, well, we're all on our own journey too. So if you don't figure it out now, maybe you come back in another life. But it's a great opportunity to work in an industry where you actually enjoy what you do. So I think, don't drown, actually just ask for help, because there's heaps of it there.
Yeah. Now, if someone, they've never been into health and fitness before, they finally, reach a point where they're like, I need to make a change, and they come to you, what would be like, one or two of the major points that you would, really drive home for them? Like what changes, what points would they need to know?
So generalizing and then not knowing what they're actually doing is, I'd like them to keep a food diary, even if it's just, if I have to give them information on that day, because it's one consult and they haven't done a food diary, I will scribble down, okay, for example, what have you eaten? What's an example of what you eat? Purely so I can see the cravings and the amount of protein that they're getting into their body, and what they like and what they don't like. Because I think if you take somebody too far into, 20 habits too different, and you could just give them a food plan, if it's 20 things for them to change, it's too hard for them to do. So it's easier usually just to change 1 or 2 things a week, and then it sticks to. So usually I will change breakfast. If they are open to eating breakfast, I'll get them to eat more protein with breakfast. And this is probably like an 80% of the time. I don't think everyone has to eat steak for breakfast. But if they could eat a leftover dinner for breakfast, that will revolutionize their life, because it changes the way their blood sugar fluctuates or doesn't fluctuate. Mm-hmm. And then obviously drinking enough water. And that is usually overlooked by every health practitioner that you go to, because they're so much more complex in the way they diagnose and look at things. I know I've got some friends that are, quite high up in the way they diagnose people, and they skip the water. And then I'll get the client back and say, oh, well, what about this? And they'll say, oh, no, she didn't ask me about the water. So, okay, well, we've got to start there, because otherwise you're not eliminating anything. So it's the basics, like you guys do with clients. It's getting enough quality saturated fat and protein into the AM of the person's life, and then water. They would be the 2 major things as far as a dietary thing, and self-talk if you do a third thing.
Okay.
for a lot of folks, especially ones with crazy amounts of diagnostic abilities, it's really hard to see the forest from the trees. It's very easy to overlook stuff like water, more protein, proper sleep. It's like, the basics are there for a reason, but definitely you bring a good point.
So Kate, what does your mindfulness meditation practice look like? I know we spoke about this last week actually, but what does your personal practice look like?
Yeah. And I want to start by saying, look, I've tried to copy lots of other people's routines, and that anyone who's listening should devise their own routine, but you don't know what it feels like until you've done it. And when I started with a coach last year and there was meditation on the list of things to do, I honestly thought, is this woman crazy? She has no idea how busy I am. I don't have time to do that. However, now that I make sure I religiously do meditate, even if it's for 10 or 15 minutes a day, I feel like I have 4 times as many hours in the day. So the way I handle stress is totally different. So it's a huge positive. So I make sure I meditate for 10 or 15 minutes a day. I'll journal usually at least once a day. Sometimes I'll pull out pieces of paper and just start writing on them again. If something frustrates you or you're not sure about something, that's the most amazing free counseling session ever. And usually in that journaling process, I will either visualize or start talking about my goals and use affirmations in there as well. I also believe thoroughly in the mirror talk. I don't know if you've heard any coaches talking about that, but saying your affirmations to yourself this has been around for a really long time, actually. That Zig Ziglar book I'm listening to is talking about it again. But you say your affirmations to yourself about how you are and how you want to be and what you want in the mirror while you're looking in your eyes. And it's very hard to deceive yourself. So you will become the person that you talk to yourself about. Otherwise, your self-chatter comes usually from as you were developing, as you were growing up, clearly.
Yeah.
But you can outgrow that. Yeah, so there are 3 practices that I do.
And I would say that tip right there is worth the price of admission today, man. That's good stuff.
Now, I've got a question about the meditation, actually. Do you follow a specific type, like transcendental, or is it just closing your eyes and focusing on your breath?
If I don't have a device like a phone or an iPad or access to YouTube, I'll just close my eyes and listen to my breath, and I might chant something to myself or repeat my affirmations more just to calm myself down, like defragging a computer back in the day when you had to defrag the computers.
Wow, way old school.
Yeah, that's when I was in IT.
Right.
But what I prefer now is I'll get onto YouTube and listen to a guided meditation on there, because it is easier to, I think for me anyway, to listen to something and be following the words of something. And I like the music in the background as well. So one that I've found recently is, don't know how to pronounce the guy's name. It's Vishen Lakhiani or something. But if you type in the word Omvana, Omvana, the 6-phase meditation comes up. That's quite an active one. And he goes through a visualization process as well. And he's an IT dude, and he has hacked meditation and tried to make it as short as possible while still going through all phases of getting rid of resentment, relaxing your body, visualizing the future, and then asking for help and that kind of stuff. It's really interesting. So I prefer to listen to YouTube rather than my own voice.
Sounds good.
Or some
guided meditation can definitely help people, especially when they're just getting into it too. A lot of folks have trouble focusing on their breath or just even sitting still.
Yeah, and I know I've found that even if you cut down on the amount of time, even 3 minutes a day, if you actually do the practice over an extended period of time, it's way better than sitting for an hour 3 days in a row and then saying screw it.
Yep, just like exercise programs.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. There's a book I read something to do with the science of motivation or something. It's written by a psychologist, and even she in there, she didn't call it meditation. She just called it a breathing awareness practice, which increases everything. It does increase your power of focus as well. And it was just focused on diaphragm breathing for 5 minutes a day. And every time your brain wanders, just bring it back. And it is all about discipline, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's whatever you want.
For sure. And diaphragmatic breathing, for those that don't know, it's essentially just breathing into your belly button. If you don't know what it is, look it up on YouTube. It's probably one of the healthiest things that you can really do is learn how to breathe properly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's definitely up there with the foundation of what people need to do to increase their health. It's funny, I tell people, I'm in Melbourne now, but I tell people in Melbourne when I'm selling them on diaphragm breathing, I'll say, listen, where I come from in Bondi, there used to be a clinic where they would guarantee that you can lose 5 centimeters off your waist in a month. And it was only a breathing course. That's literally what it was.
Huh.
So many effects of toning the abdominal muscles and reducing stress.
Yeah,
Great for the waistline.
Just stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system. It can do wonders.
Yes, yeah, it's amazing. So the relaxing part of the nervous system that does your resting and digesting and your fat burning for you, for sure.
Absolutely. So, all right, I think we're going to wrap up here. I just got a couple more questions for you, Kate. So the first one will be, who would you want to hear on the podcast?
Oh, get Paul CHEK on.
Oh, another one for Paul.
Yeah, that's 3.
7 or 8. I can't count on both my hands anymore.
Oh, really? Or the guy that I can't think of his name. Bulletproof Coffee.
Do? Oh, Dave Asprey.
Yes, Dave Asprey.
All right.
And
might have to ping him.
What would you want to hear him talk about?
Or I like philosophical stuff, so philosophies on business and life, because I think that you can apply philosophies to anything. I just like hearing successful people talk.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm right there with you. That's why we're talking to you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So now, the optimum human. What is your definition of the optimum human?
Oh, that's a good one. The optimum human. So I guess that comes down to the definition of success too. So has a body that's fully functioning as well as possible, as often as possible. I don't think there's a utopian place where nothing from the external environment or stresses or people or relationships ever affects you, because I think it affects everybody. It's always how you cope with it. So a well-functioning, well-coping, not too stressed, healthy individual, healthy, happy individual.
Okay.
I'm working on my sense of humor.
Perfect.
Yeah. A bit optimum human.
Yeah, a lot of folks, they disregard humor as a method of healing, but it's so important. And if you look, there's like laughter yoga, and like you just go in there and everybody kind of starts laughing for no reason, but it feels great.
Yeah, there's not much better than laughing till your TVA hurts.
This is very true. Not to be confused with TV.
Yeah, well.
So for folks listening, that's like the abs under your abs.
Yeah, that's your deep
like
abdominal muscles.
Kind of. But anyway, Kate, where can we find out more about you and your projects? What's the best place or places to reach you? And
so I have just for the first time had a really fancy website built. I don't think that you need one, to be honest, but it's at katemartinmentor.com. And that front page will take you either through to fat loss or through to business. And then there's lots of blog posts on both of those, and everything's on there. Or they can reach out to me on Facebook.
Okay.
I'm on there a lot too.
Any other social media platforms?
Yes, I use YouTube. I don't use the others a lot, to be honest.
Okay.
We can link to all of that. We'll get your information for the YouTube page. Now, any exciting projects? You said you're working on a book and a couple of programs. Anything that you'd like to plug?
No, just the book. The book is my baby. I hence to say the baby that I'm birthing, because one of my friends makes fun of that. But I'm not a writer, so the back and forward and 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 the learning that I've gotten to do for that has been extraordinary. And the lessons of the beating the self up of, oh shit, I can't do this, or yes I can. So no, that's the big project at the moment. And every time I talk to somebody else, like one of you guys, I get all excited and I think, oh, we should do something together. So yesterday I was speaking to somebody who's a hypnotherapist, and so we might put a program together.
I heard writing a book is one of the most masochistic things you can do to yourself. Not to discourage you. I'm looking forward to reading it. But I've just heard from several places that it's a painful process, but one that's very worthy.
You know what? It's like the discipline of anything, I suppose. The discipline. It is literally a discipline. It's just open the computer and write for 15 minutes, whether you feel like it or not. It doesn't matter. Just do it.
Actually, yeah.
Anything that you want.
I just got a question. Do you have any type of writing practice? Like, do you do it in the morning? Do you do it in the evening? Or is it just open up when you got free time and hit the keyboard?
No, free time doesn't exist. You know that. So
I was just testing you.
Ooh.
What I do in my free time is definitely not right by choice. No, because I'm a talker. So if I'm putting my message out there, it'll usually be in video form or audio form, like something like this, or a seminar. I'd prefer to go on TV and talk than probably write a book. But I wanted to master it. No, it's got to be part of the daily task list. And I like my daily task list to be in categories instead of a to-do list, because the to-do lists never actually end. So instead of the to-do list, it'll be, you've got to make sure you do marketing. You've got to make sure you do sales. You've got to make sure you do a little bit of admin, which might be just replying to emails. You've got to make sure you put yourself out there. On that list is, 15 minutes, half an hour of book.
Do you use like a narration service? Like, I think it's called Drag In Talk Naturally or something, and you just talk into your microphone and it transcribes what you're saying, or do you actually just type?
Can you write that down, please? I'm going to write that
down.
What's that
I will send you a link on the Facebook, and you just essentially talk into it, and it learns how you speak, and boom, it just comes out on the page. So I feel like that might actually be helpful for you.
Wow. Yeah, thanks, Brian.
Yeah.
I'm finished now. But you know what it made me realize? I've had to cut it down. It made me realize it was far too big, like 7 chapters and they're all 10,000 words each. That's just a bit too much.
Yeah.
It depends.
700-page book can be a little much.
Yeah, so it feels like it's a tip of the iceberg. Like I haven't really even gone into, okay, well, if you have this diagnosis, then this is how we would treat it and what you would do, and here's all the references for that. And it's an interesting project. I approach everything now the last couple of years as I'm just getting to learn about myself, and I feel like a kid in a candy store. So I don't know, every project that comes up is exciting, especially if there's people involved. I prefer people involved, so I have to couple it with, okay, I've got to do some writing, and then I'm allowed to meet people.
There you go.
Yeah, you definitely were not cut out for IT.
Oh,
No.
No, funny. My boss knows that too. But yeah.
All right, Kate. Well, I think we're going to wrap up here. So thank you so much for coming on. It was a blast today and a lot of great information. So hopefully our listeners will take what you've given them and put it into action.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you for being interested enough in people to put out health stuff like this for them all the time. You guys are definitely at the top of your field, so people should be listening to you.
We're trying.
do what we can. So, all right, Kate. Well, again, it's been a pleasure, and thanks again, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks.
Fantastic day.
Lord and Brian. Bye.
Bye now.
Thanks for listening to the Optimum Human Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to head on over to iTunes and give a 5-star rating and review, which will help spread the word to more awesome listeners just like you. Head on over to theoptimumhuman.com and subscribe to the free newsletter and get the Optimum Human's Blueprint to the Optimum Life. Download it instantly. Thanks for listening.